Hey guys, welcome back to the Mini JCW race team. We're going to share in this video what we do this week. We're going to do some dynoing and continue to do some race prep for the 2022 racing season. So check it out. We're going to dyno the street car to see what kind of horsepower we can get out. We're going to do some baseline runs now to see the stock horsepower, and then we'll do some tuning. So we just dynoed the stock F55. This is our personal street car. It's the 2016 Cooper S. You know, the only modifications we've really done to it is upgrade the brakes to the JCW, and it has the factory mini exhaust tune, which is pretty cool, but the car's all factory. The cool thing about what we do is the race cars are exactly the same engine as this car is. So everything that we've learned on the race cars, or we're learning while we're mapping or remapping the street car, we can use for later. During racing, or in the racing regulations, we are restricted, so we don't really care about how much horsepower we can put to the wheels in the race car. You know, the sanctioning bodies will tell us how much. So that's called balance of performance. We call it BOP. But since we're doing some reflashing of the DME is a computer, the DME on the street car, we'll see how much horsepower we can get out of it. Now this car specs from factory is 188 horsepower. It's a Cooper S. You know, the JCW is 128, I think, or 228. We dynoed it. It put 190 wheel horsepower. So that's that's not crank horsepower, that's wheel horsepower. So really close to what, actually a little bit more than what mini horsepower spec is for the Cooper S. We just did some new mapping, and we're gonna see what it does. So we just did the pulls, and we got about 258 wheel horsepower. So that's probably, I don't know, 20-30 horsepower more, maybe close to 300 at the crank. That was just with the first flash. If you come and look over here at the screen, you can see the number below was the first OE dyno pull, which was right around 190. And then the other one was 258, I believe. So pretty impressive. And that was just one flash. We could probably get, we know we can get about 348 wheel horsepower out of this car without a problem. Anyway, really impressive. Stock engine, stock transmission, just a few map changes, and boom. Last video we talked about fixing the 61 car. So we're going to show you a little bit of how we're going to start the process. You know, we talked a little bit about removing the broken pieces. Right now the car is not quite on the bench, as you can see, and we have the new bits that are going to go on the car, but it gives you a general idea of how this works, right? The car's damaged. We already cut the front pieces off, but we need to clean off and take off all the damaged parts. We haven't done that yet. And this is the new part that's going to go on, and you kind of see where it lines up. Once the car goes down onto the bench, it will locate exactly the points where it needs attached to the chassis. So in general, what will happen here later is we will remove these pieces off the bench, which are the new pieces. We will sit the chassis on the bench and proceed to start taking off, cutting off, grinding off all the damaged pieces. That's probably the longest part of the process. Like I said earlier, we're going to attempt to fix it. This car is pretty, quite damaged. So we'll see how that goes. Stay tuned. So it's pretty much the end of the week. It's Friday. We are getting ready to shut down the shop for the weekend. We had a really productive week. We had 3 days of dynoing. We dynoed the TC car. We did some dyno, very little bit of dyno on our street F55. We got the chassis, the damaged chassis, on the chassis bench. So in the next couple of weeks, we'll continue to fix that, attempt to fix that. It looks like we're starting to get a lot of our supplies for the race season. We got brake discs here, which we'll take out and assemble to the brake hats and have them ready for the entire season. It looks like Motul sent us some of our oil. I see this is engine oil. They provide us, they support us with, the 300V Motul 5W30, which, the Mini runs 5W30. We just use racing oil. This is available to anybody. So if you guys are, especially you guys that track your Minis or, use your cars as race cars, it probably wouldn't hurt. to run this. And then I expect that we'll get another pallet of gear oil. We also use Motul gear oil. And yeah, we'll take the weekend off and continue preparing for this season coming up. Have a great weekend, everybody.